The fact that you can't see that is actually an issue. It's a bug right now that we're gonna squash.
Yeah, I think it's really important. Like, especially for first-person perspective, it's important to understand where your weapon is at all times, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, that's something that we look to address as well. And again, like all this stuff with Melee is incremental, right? Like we fix as many things we can and roll it out to you guys to get testing and feedback on it, so we can make it better over time. And as we do that, the layers of polish will just continue to roll in and increase. So. Yeah. That's the direction that we're headed.
Let's give a shout out to all our test server players.
Yes, thank you guys.
The amount of feedback we've gotten from you guys has been incredible and extremely helpful. So thank you, everyone who's on there giving us feedback.
Yeah, it's awesome. Mm-hmm. And those of you who haven't had a opportunity to jump on test, please do so. Especially, I think people can attest right now. There are a lot of people in chat that I see on test all the time. Like, it's a very different environment right now. All the stuff that we're rolling out to you guys very soon is pretty much live on test. And we need feedback on that to ensure that it's working properly and is up to your standards. So please jump in when you can. Send us feedback. It's really, really appreciated.
Yeah, what are some of the more bigger ticket items that are on test that people can check out?
Man, there's a bunch. I think, from my perspective, I'm sure Justin can share some too, but I think the lighting improvements are huge, right? Like actually having true darkness in interiors at night and actually making the flashlight viable is really big. I mean, this is a survival game, right? So, like night should be a scary time, right? Yep. So we'll continue to balance those things over time and get better values there as we work with the system, but creating concrete values for different times of day and then transitioning in nicely so players get a good variety, I think is really important. And damn, interiors are scary now, right?
Yeah,
like,
they really are.
It actually puts a lot of value on that flashlight. So, those are areas where like, oh, like lights are important now. Let's add a lot of those and make them interesting. So that's really exciting for me. What about for you, Justin?
I think the biggest thing for me is if we don't want to talk about the cumulative just volume of fixes we have there's over 100 different bug fixes and optimizations queued up for this next update, which we don't have a time frame on yet. But the most exciting thing for me is zombie pathing. The fact that zombies are moving more realistically now, they don't get caught on the curb when you're stepping up from the street to the sidewalk. They can actually follow you up hills, stuff like that. Yeah. I think that's probably one of the most exciting things for me. So they're more of a threat, which is great.
So for some people who probably don't know what they're looking at here, what is this general testing zone? Right?
Yeah, Jesse, you want to talk about this?
This is our this is our dev test zone, and we have.
People are like, they love doors.
Yeah,
like
parked. Well, this is just one area.
Monsters
Parked throughout. Each door leads to a mysterious universe. No, actually, it's we've basically got one of everything placed in this zone in various locations, and it saves a lot of time when you need to test something. You go in and you go to the location you need to be at. You just pick up what you want to test. Also, it's a zone with a minimal amount of different behaviors running. So when we need to do debugging on particular AI activities or different types of behaviors in furnaces and stuff like that, this is the place to do it because there's minimal noise from other objects.
Well, right, and we don't want to do it in live because we know you guys would come up and like shank us, right? So important to have a test environment where we can do things safely.
That's a fair point. Yeah, we are totally safe here usually. So
people stream snipe in this game?
No.
Stream snipe?
Never, right?
Dang.
Never.
It's unheard of.
All right, awesome. You guys, any more Melee questions in the chat? I know you guys have a lot of other questions, but we're talking about Melee today, and then we'll talk about base building. So let's keep some of those questions more centered around that topic.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be super excited about the Melee. Super excited. It's been broken for a while. I'm sick of trying to hit somebody like 5 times, and then they're just boom right in the face with the shotgun. So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it's a big improvement. So I think we can successfully move on to our next topic.
Sweet.
Which I think a lot of people are going to be really excited to hear. Is the base building and strongholds. So if you guys have heard, in the last time we had our chat live stream, let me go back to the main camera. We showed off that piece of concept art that kind of had the 3 stages, wood and then a little more modular and some stone.
Yep.
Let's just get right into the first video. I think that will that'll lead people in.
Sure. So what we wanted to share with you guys today is mock-up using all our new base building pieces, right? So this is done out of the world just to show you a really good perspective, and we can build this really quickly. It's easier to show in this person. So we're going to show you walls, different sizes floors, different kinds of cover, all these elements that you can build into your base in any way that you want, and it'll be a viable and safe platform, right? So to push things like that. But in terms of core construction, we're going to start with 3 stories and see where it goes. Because it's like this is an easily expandable system, but just as bases go way out in crazy directions now, and are like you get the mega base problem,
or
we
the
don't want
ATV racetrack.
Exactly, like we don't want the Tower of Doom either, right? Because that presents its own problems,
Sure.
both from a server perspective and from gameplay. So,
will players be able to customize the outside of their base at all, like base skins or base painting in the future?
That's a really good question. So yes, so not only the customization objects that you're seeing on the outside here, but again, you have the tiered construction that we talked about last live stream, right? So I can move between different materials, and that also has huge impacts on gameplay, right? So if I have a stone base, obviously those walls and doors are a lot stronger than the ones that are in the wood tier. So definitely a lot to consider as you're building your base.
Okay.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So-
It's also
go for it.
I was going to say it's also worth noting that the pieces are going to end up being universal now, so you don't have to look for the second floor wall when you want to put a wall
Right.
in. You simply find the
Can
wall.
we go back to one of the?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll rotate through this.
Because the pieces right now, you've got your first floor and then you've got the second floor addition pieces right now. We're moving to a much more universal socketed-based system. And what
Right.
that enables us to do is develop a single piece that serves one purpose that can be used anywhere on the stronghold,
So like
wherever it fits.
how the artist is mocking this up right now will be similar to the way the players will create it in world?
No, almost in the exact same way, except in
Yep.
how it comes out of the inventory system. You want to talk about
correct.
that?
Yeah, well, initially it's basically going to be placed out of the inventory in the same fashion that you place anything out of the inventory right now. We are definitely looking at some future, probably UI-based solutions for this,
Yeah.
though, where the materials are simply deducted and you can place the piece out of a UI element in your window so that you don't have to continuously bounce in and out of your inventory to select different stronghold pieces.
Yeah, and that holds true for the rest of the game. Like, obviously, we were looking to really expand and improve upon the
Yep.
UI. That's something that we definitely are cognizant of. We feel your guys' pain there. We want to improve it, and we will. It's just going to take a little bit of time, but we're on it. But our goal right now is to introduce cool systems for you guys to play with, and then over time make them, again, more polished and more accessible.
Yeah, so this system is still definitely still being built.
Yes.
Still being built,
It might be a little while before players actually get their hands on this particular feature, but it will come to the test server first.
Yes, it will.
It will,
Alright, cool.
yes.
Another thing to note here, and I think you can see it less so in this layout and more in the next one. I don't know why it jumped, but, well, you can see it here too. So you can see the perimeter on the outside, right, where the player is entering the base. Players are used to right now, it's like I have to build an outer perimeter for my base in order for it to be secure, right? We're moving away from that. We have other solutions for that, and we want to give you as much flexibility as possible. So if you want to build like a little four-walled shack in the middle of your base pad and then surround it with landmines, go for it. It's still secure. Like, that's the idea, right, is to give you guys as much flexibility as possible and to create interesting solutions.
Is it going to be similar to the way it is now where, and this might be a topic for a later time, but multiple people can build in a similar area?
Yeah, so again, like, you guys are used to the concept of having multiple people with base pad permissions, right? So that's something that we're extending and improving upon. So right now, like, you'll have a base pad. If you're associated with that base pad, then you have building permissions on it, right? So there'll still be the separation between, like, visitor who won't have building or destruction capabilities and then, like, someone who's attached to that actual base.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I'm really excited about this.
I am too, man. I can't wait to play this. Like, how are you feeling? You liking this stuff?
I'm so excited. We have some great things in store for you guys. Just you gotta sit tight and be patient. I promise you.
Yeah. So yeah, let's.
Is this the stronghold? So yeah, strongholds as a concept is base building.
Yeah, so
yes.
there's a lot more to that, and obviously we'll go into the stronghold system in depth at a later time. But yes,
Right.
just know that bases are strongholds, but there's a lot of different components of the gameplay that we're adding and talking about there. So that'll probably be a dedicated stream in and of itself.
For sure.
Yeah.
We just like that word a lot better.
Way better.
Strongholds and base building. Yeah. All right. So you guys have any questions in the chat specifically about this base building concept you see in front of you? How are base permissions going to work?
In a very similar manner to the way they do now, right? Where like you'll basically establish a leader for the base. Like the first person to purchase that and build it will actually be the owner, right? And then you'll be able to assign people to it. Ultimately, I think we'd love a system where you can have basically ranks associated with it, right? So like lieutenants basically have more permissions than your general members and stuff like that.
That'd be great.
I think that's a system like that'll go a long way. But in the interim, we're going to leverage the system we have and clean it up a little bit while we roll this out and get all the data we need to make it better.
Yep.
So people are asking, like, how far along is this process? Are you still in the design phase?
It is it's well out of the design phase. I mean, yeah, because as you can see here, like we already have all these pieces up. It's in the game. You can go into your inventory now, place all these pieces. You can do everything that's happening in this demo right now in the game, in the world. This is just a much better way of us demonstrating that, as opposed to like the third person camera where it's a really locked perspective. So. Yeah, it's in a really good place. We're basically at a point now where we're doing data tuning on it. We're starting to establish values for like damage and general health for all these things. And then we're looking to art it up. So the art team is, as you can see with the concept art here, right? Like they're already making serious considerations for what these pieces are going to look like.
Yep.
The tiered pieces.
Yeah, tiered pieces. And the thing is, like, Gio and his team are taking a very serious approach in terms of art direction. He'll talk about that, in an upcoming live stream, the tone, what they're trying to do. Like, this is a very serious process for us. Like, we were committed to doing it the right way. So I think the results of this process are going to be awesome. Like, you're going to get really, really interesting pieces to build your strongholds with.
Right. And I think, so, again, this is probably something we can cover at a later date when we talk more in depth about strongholds, but is this going to kind of get rid of that mega base of like 40,000 ground tampers?
Definitely not something we can talk about right now, but the short answer is yes.
Yes.
It's going to clean up the world a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the system as a whole, the goal is to make it purposeful. We still want to give you guys actually way more flexibility than you've ever had. We just, mega bases create a lot of problems on servers, right? Like, you guys talk about frame rate. It's like most of that problem is actually driven by mega bases, right? So we have to control some of those things, but at the same time, we want to give you more options than you ever had so you can be super creative.
Cool. Awesome. Let's see. You see any more questions?
There was one a second ago, and then I forgot. What was it? So, what I will say is that there will be 4 base foundation types.
Repeat the question.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I keep forgetting that you don't have a mic.
There's Sarah.
Yeah.
On
Hi,
the side.
Sarah. Hi. So the question was, can you snap base foundations together? So basically, what I will say for now is that there are 4 different scales of foundations that you can have, essentially, right? From this size, which would represent the smallest size that we have, to the largest. And they will scale up, and even the smallest size will be bigger than the pad that we have now in the game. So that's what I can share for now, but there will definitely be a lot more later.
All right. Let's see. Basements? Yeah, I don't think we're going to get...
No basements. That creates problems.
We're in California. There's no basements in California.
No basements. Sorry. Another thing we can say, though, is that the placement of these is going to be very different. These pads aren't going to be lifted super high. They're basically going to be flush with the ground. So we're going to eliminate the problems of, my vehicle falls through my base tamper and I lose it. Or, like, there's dudes hiding underneath their base and we can't get to them, but they can still kill us. Like...
Yeah, that's actually, in that picture, that's actually accurate as far as how high it'll be off the ground, roughly.
And actually, it might be a little higher than it actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be pretty low to the ground because, again, like for us, it's about the flexibility on top and around of the pad, not so much like, I'm building up to this giant ramp. Again, like ramps cause problems with vehicles. Like there's so many issues that we'll alleviate with this system. So that's why, I'm really excited to implement this and move forward.
Yeah. All right, let's see. What else do I have on here?
No other questions, really? I can't believe it. We probably can't answer.
How many tiers, types of base building? We can go to. So that we kind of discussed that last time. We're starting with 3 tiers.
Oh,
right?
So we're starting
wood,
with
metal, and stone are the base.
Yeah.
But again, that's a very expandable system. And there are a lot of things that you can do. I mean, look at the sandbags, for instance, and the punty sticks around it, the barbed wire. These things we want to add to make those tiers even stronger, right? So and more defensible.
Farming. I guess we can move into a little bit about what's on test server right now and the patch that's coming.
So the patch, as I mentioned, has a lot of fixes in it. Two of the more important areas to me that I worked on were getting the crops working. That includes moonshine as well. So moonshine, dude, you gotta have your alcohol, right?
It's very important.
So those were reliant on an older system that was not ticking correctly. So your crops should be growing at the proper rate. If they are fertilized, they're going to grow much faster, and your moonshine manifest and be delicious. On top of that, the cooking elements also got a little bit of a behavior workover. They weren't consuming fuel correctly, and there was quite a bit of jank associated with how their behaviors were working. So
jank is a technical term.
Jank is a very technical term, yeah. So we've eliminated that. They'll consume fuel correctly. When you light them on fire, they'll eat a piece of fuel and spit out either coal or ash, depending on what they've consumed, and they'll then burn for a certain length of time, depending on which piece of fuel they consumed. And that information is all in the item tooltips as well, so you'll be able to see what you're putting in there, how long is this going to work for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I think as an overarching point, expected outcomes is big for us.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If I take an action that feels like something should happen in the real world, as best as we can, we want to make sure that the reaction that comes from that is expected, right?
Yep, absolutely.
There are a lot of dead ends right now in the game, and we're doing all we can to eliminate those and populate that with smarter choices.
Yep.
I had a question. I don't know if you could answer it. If you demo a certain piece, you know how they all snap together. Can you just place another piece right in its place?
No, you cannot.
Can't get into
Wait,
that?
well... So you mean destroy one of those?
Say, like, I don't want a window here anymore. I want this to just be a wall. Can you just demo that and snap another thing like a Lego?
You can.
So there may be some fallout for that. But yes, you will be able to, like, they're not permanent. I have the ability to use a tool to go in and knock this down and replace it with something else. Yeah.
I think right now it takes what, like 10 hits to knock down
the
a wall?
demo hammer stink.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will change that.
Maybe a little bit faster. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Things we can make better. Lots of them. There was another one that I thought was really interested was zombies. Will zombies be able to attack your base? I think that's especially for PvE, that's big, right?
Absolutely.
If I'm a base builder in PvE, like interactions with zombies is really important. I think that's super interesting. And yes, we are already working on that right now. That'll probably take some time. The early stages that I've already seen are very promising.
Yeah, and a big part of that is the pathing update for zombies. That's on test. That will be in our next update,
that's step
which
one.
Enables them to actually move over different things. Otherwise, you could stave off a base invasion with a curb, basically, which doesn't really work. So
that's not super exciting.
Yeah, yep. But yes, definitely.
So I see like one or maybe two people talking about cheaters and hackers in the chat.
Just a couple.
Just want to let you guys know, it is we take it very seriously.
Covert ops, though, we can't.
Yeah, we can't talk about it. It's Fight Club, baby. Yep. Like, you got to keep that under wraps. The more we talk about it, the more they'll be able to counter it. So
something that's important.
Just know that we are aware of it.
Yeah, we absolutely are aware of it. We hear you guys. For every one of you guys saying we're not listening, I'm sorry, but we promise you we really are.
It's a huge issue.
It's a problem for us. We don't like it, and we are actively combating it.
Yep. All right, I think with that, we will move into our last little sneak peek. And
Secret time.
Yeah. So, okay, I mean, this is great, right? I think these systems are awesome, and all the improvements that we make in the Just Survive universe will serve you guys really well and make for a better game, and ultimately that's what we're aiming for. But one of the biggest things that's holding us back is the environment, right? So I think we can move forward with something pretty exciting there, which is we're going to have a new map for JS.
Yep.
It is a real thing. So this is just some concept art of the kind of verticality and terrain variation that you're going to see in that map. You can see a stronghold in the distance. What does that mean? That's pretty interesting. But we're a little further along than that, Greg. We're actually in the world, and this is, as of earlier this week, kind of a section of the map that isn't even nearly as detailed as some of the stuff we're working on. Yep. But it's in really good shape. We are crafting a purposeful gameplay environment for you guys, and all this stuff coming into that world, is going to make a huge difference, and it's one of the biggest things our design team pushed for from day one, and we're really excited to share it with you.
That's
Very
right.
Excited.
And we will leave you guys with that. We hope you enjoyed our stream, and tune in for the next one. Be sure to follow our channels on Twitter. Check out our... Everybody have a great rest.